So today, lads, I'm going to be talking about some WNBA stars that could be moved at the trade deadline. And we're going to be talking about them, why a team would consider trading them, why a team wouldn't consider trading them, and the likelihood of this happening. So, I think we're going to see more big stars being traded this year than before. I'm going to be honest. We've got a situation where a lot of teams are in really, really bad financial flexibility, and they got to go out of their way to get out of that. To be honest, they have to go out of their way to get out of awful financial situations. And first of all, we are going to be talking about the least of these players likely to be traded during the season, and it is Caitlin Clark. Because the Caitlin Clark discussion is always going to come up when it comes to trade, I think there is a 5% chance of this happening. The Fever are not going to trade Caitlin during the season unless, let's just say hypothetically, the Fever lose this back-to-back, or Caitlin plays, they lose to Seattle with Caitlin, and they beat New York without Caitlin, and then Caitlin comes back against Connecticut and they lose, and then they go on a losing streak with Caitlin, and they're 5-0 without Caitlin on the year. It would take the Indiana Fever dropping sub 500, and also maybe getting 1 to 2 more wins without Caitlin Clark. It would take it being, or another national scandal and her play dipping. The likelihood of her being traded after the season is about 80%. It's about 80%, but during the season, nobody's going to gut their roster either. A tanking team, the Fever are going to realistically want a probable top 3 pick back. So, a tanking team aren't going to trade for Caitlin. Because, they're not trying to win. The Sky don't have the assets. The Sky and the Sparks don't really have the assets for Caitlin. And they're not going to be able to make that trade. And then everybody else is kind of trying to lose to get into Juju sweepstakes. But yeah, look, I'll say it. I think there is a 0.5 out of 10 chance that Caitlin is traded during this season. Skyler Diggins. Skyler Diggins is currently AFK with the Chicago Sky. She basically said, okay, I'm going to go and I'm coming off the bench, and went on social media about it, and it suddenly has not been seen since. The odds of Skyler Diggins playing for the Sky again are close to 0. I'm going to be real. It's probably close to 0. But the odds of Skyler Diggins being traded are, I don't even know what's going to happen, because Skyler Diggins is so hard to trade. She's on $1 million a year for multiple years, and even when she plays, she wasn't very good. Even when she played. So, the one team where it's with even the way her 2-year contract, where it's obvious that a team should look to sign her, is Washington. But the Chicago Sky are in a pick swap with Washington. So the Sky are not going to make Washington get better. It is what it is. They are not going to go out of their way to make the Washington Mystics a better basketball team. So we're then at the stage where it's okay, now what team could she go to? She's not going back to Seattle. You've got to think of a win-now team that needs a point guard, and because the Sky are at the end of the salary cap, has an exact match, and very few players in this league have $900,000. And the Chicago Sky might, in the offseason, be able to trade her. So, I think she's gone for the year. I don't think she plays again. However, maybe Seattle Storm. And that is a crazy one considering she has left the Storm. That's like my only thought, because the Fire aren't going to sign her or aren't going to trade for her. Neither Tempo don't have the money. So I'm like, is it now a case with Skyler Diggins where she's just done for the year? She's not going to play in Chicago. She's done for the year. And then in the offseason, they'll be able to trade her because she's an expiring deal and her salary is not as much of an issue. Because the only teams that can really take her right now are the Mystics, and her value is 0 on the trade market. But she does make the Mystics a better team. And if the Mystics make the playoffs, the Sky don't get a lottery pick. So for me, I'm like, okay, this is a situation where I don't know if Skyler Diggins plays basketball this year again. I really don't. So I would say a 0.5% chance maybe. That's what I would probably say or it's not 0.5%. I would say maybe a 2 out of 10 if Skyler Diggins is traded. Because again, I don't think Portland are going to take Diggins. And Portland has to take her contract for next year, and I think Portland are going to want to go for it next year a bit. Connecticut, I think, will have... I don't even think Connecticut will be capable of doing that either, of like making the trade. But yeah, it is a tough one. It's a tough one to see what the outcome for her is. So then we have got Kelsey Plum. Now, the Sparks are in a bit of a tough situation. They fucked the rebuild. They jumped the gun. They had a rebuild ready. They traded a pick that became Awa for Rikia. That being said, 2024 was seen as a generational draft. 2026 wasn't. Who was to know Awa was going to be this good? You give him a bit of a pass there. But they traded the pick. They traded away the pick that was going to be, at the time, was supposed to be Olivia Miles, and ended up being Dominique Malonga. The LA Sparks, by not getting Paige Bueckers, completely shit the bed and panicked and tried to rush a rebuild by getting Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum has been one of the best guards in the league this year. Not named an all-star starter, but obviously she is still an all-star, but is currently injured. At the same time, she's on a pretty okay deal. And the problem is the Sparks have to take $1 million back. The Sky are a team that would be able to give up assets for Kelsey Plum. Problem, Kelsey Plum is going to be in the Skyler trade, and again, like, they've traded all the picks as well. Like, they had and they're in a bad situation. Like, again, picks and assets wise. However, the Washington Mystics are not in a pick swap with the LA Sparks. The LA Sparks could be in a really good position. And what do they get? So, I do not think that the Chicago Sky pick is on the table. I don't think a potential Juju Watkins is on the table for a mid-season trade. The Mystics are not that dumb. Kelsey Plum would turn the Mystics into, I'm not going to say contenders yet, but they would be potentially win a playoff series this year and then look to become contenders next year. I don't think the Sky pick is in play. I think if you are, the Mystics can take on more salary. My guess is that if you are LA, you're looking at like Amor or Flores, who are good players. sorry, Amor not really, but Flores is a prospect. She's 3 years younger. So Alicia Flores, you're probably looking for bets in there and sending, I don't know who you'd send the other way. Maybe at this stage you'd get off Hamby or NECA as well, but maybe Betts has to be in there, even if it's come off the bench this year. And you're then taking, like, I don't know, Plum, Gion Park for Flores, Betts, and the Mystics 2028 first. Not the one they have from the Sky, their own 2028 first. That is possibly something that that Sparks might trade for Kelsey Plum, and it gives them an extra draft pick. It's going to make them worse this year. It means they have a better chance of getting a Juju. It means they have a better chance of getting a good pick. And they really need to hit reset on the rebuild. They went to win now mode 2 years in a row and fucked it 2 years in a row. And now this is the most interesting one. And it's these two players right here. Bridget Carlton and Arike. So, Arike is on a really bad contract. Really, really bad. The Indiana Fever, or not the Indiana Fever, the Dallas Wings have to get off that Arike contract. And it is, unfortunately, something where I do think that they're in a bit of a grim position. Because Arike is on a 3-year max contract. But so is Carlton. These are both bad contracts, by the way. They are both really, really bad contracts. For me, Carlton's a much more tradable contract. You would have to get off Arike, you would have to give up the Aces pick this year. With Von Portland, I'm like, I like Carlton, but do I like Carlton that much more? Do I like Sarah Ashley Barker? No. Do I think Bridget Carlton is worth a 3-year max? Fuck no. But Arike, is Arike going to be more fun in Portland? Yeah. She is. Is short-term Arike going to help your fans, get a little bit hyped for the team? Yeah. Is potentially getting 1 to 2 first-round picks and Arike for Carlton going to help your team? Yeah. Do the Dallas Wings become title contenders with Bridget Carlton? Yeah. They do. It means there's a clear hierarchy. Jess Shepard is their hub. Paige Bueckers is their first option. AZ Flood's then their next option. Bridget Carlton as a tertiary option is exceptional. She shores up the defense. I don't think the team loses anything on offense. And I think Alana Smith figures it out, because you're probably losing a whack at the end of the year. A 5 of Alana Smith, Jess Shepard, Bridget Carlton, Paige Bueckers, and AZ Flood might win a championship. Arike, and you might be saying, oh, but they need Arike scoring. No, they don't. Zaza James is the same thing. Zaza James can be that spark plug scorer. Or people are already talking about bringing Arike off the bench. It's hard to find Bridget Carltons. It is hard to find Bridget Carltons out there. And for me, I just think that it is it's one of those things where at the end of the day, this feels like trading a star for a role player, but it's like trading, I don't know, putting LaMelo Ball in a trade that gets you Trey Murphy, or overpaying for Mikal Bridges. That's what this feels like. This feels like getting off a gunner and adding a Mikal Bridges type player. And I feel like this is something where I'm like, a lot of people are saying Magabor, this is the most obvious trade. And if you're Portland, if you can get both of Dallas's first round picks this year, as in you can get their one and you can get Vegas' first round pick, like, you're in good shape. You've added 2 first round picks. You have Yana Martin coming in next year. And you're looking pretty good, and you've got a really good coach. So, yeah, for me, this one seems kind of obvious. So let me know who else could be traded. I think Lauren Betts, as far as rookies, is probably most likely on the trade block. I think, Gian Napier is on the wave block. And I don't know who else on the trade block. Like, when it comes to the Fever, I think the Fever need to do something, but I don't think they will. I think if a trade deal comes in for Lexi Hull or Mo Billings, the Fever are going to take it. But I think there's going to be one big shakeup, and this one, for me, just makes too much sense. Like, the Dallas Wings are clearly trying to quick fix a rebuild, and what they're doing, what they could do is trade, again, the gunner, and they already have a gunner on the bench in Zaza James. They could trade a gunner for the ultimate role player who the team needs, who would fit a team need, who is an overpay, but Enrique is already a bad contract. And by the way, it's much easier to trade a bad contract for a glue guy that fits into any team than trade a bad contract for a 13-point per game gunner who's shooting 35% from the field.